It's like a lot of times in business and just life in general, it's like we overcomplicate things, and like it's good to just get people's reaction, because like when I started using the hashtag Earn Your Leisure, and really people started copying it. Other people started using Earn Your Leisure, and then like I remember like one of my friends in Florida, he contacted me like, "What's Earn Your Leisure? Like, is that like a network marketing group?" Like people was hitting me up like, "Yo, is this like something I could be a part of?" I'm like, "No, it's just a hashtag." And even at like people was like, "Yo, this is dope." Like people were telling me like, "Yo, I like Earn Your Leisure. Like I like the hashtag. Like that's an original hashtag." And I still didn't really like it, so I stopped using it for like months. And then one of my friends, we was working out one day. He's like, "Yo, well, Earn Your Leisure. I don't see that anymore." I'm like, "You liked it?" He's like, "That was dope. Like you should start using it." I'm like, "All right." So I started using it again. So I just started using it. So then we started the name for the podcast. So I wanted it to be called Money, Power, Respect.
Yeah.
I wanted to call Money, Power, Respect.
Oh, so that's where the hashtag. So y'all blended both ideas, because I saw that initially. It was Money, Power, Respect. I haven't seen it. Y'all still use that?
No, I don't think we ever used it.
Because I know I saw that on a flyer or something like that. On the bottom, it said like, I thought it was Money, Power, Respect, maybe.
No, Money Plays. It probably is the Money Plays behind Sports Entertainment.
Yeah. But yeah, so
that was his. The Money, Power, Respect
Money,
was
Power,
his.
Respect. I thought that was a dope name, but then it's somebody else's name already, and then like copyrights and all that. So we ain't really. So he's like, "Yo, we already have Earn Your Leisure. You've been using it for months. Nobody has ever used it ever. It's an original thing." So I'm like, "All right, well, let's just go Earn Your Leisure." And it was crazy because even with that, it's like, so people look at like the emoji thing that we have. That's like our thing. So people hit us up all the time like, "Yo, who's your artist that did this for you?" And I did that on the iPhone.
Right,
like we was like, "All right, so we got a name. So now we got to come up with like a slogan, like a picture." So I downloaded an app for words, like to fonts. So I was just playing around with different fonts, and then I found the font. I think it's like Friday the 13th is the name of the font, and I'm like, "This is dope." So that was the font that we used.
Yeah.
So and no then, graphic designer.
iPhone.
iPhone. And then for the picture, I'm just like playing around with the emoji app. I'm like, let me see how this will look. So I did my face emoji, his face emoji.
Yep.
And then we just used that font that I used from Friday the 13th app. And that was how we came up with
I still have the text message. Like thing, I'm like, "Yo, damn, that looks like me."
Really?
Yeah, I still have the text. Yeah, straight up.
So you built it for him?
Yeah, he made my emoji.
Yeah, I made it for him. Yeah. Because I was doing, like I said, I was doing it. I'm like, we got to have this done. So I did it. I made his emoji, my emoji, and I did the font. And
was that the first time you did something like that?
Ever.
Yeah. And we were just literally the next day, we were like, "All right, let's just put this out." And we just put it out. Like, "Yo, this is coming next week. Be on the lookout."
Do not overthink it.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing you could do is just take action. And he was like, you didn't wait for a graphic designer, a logo designer, pay somebody $500.
Exactly. It's like Maxwell always say, like when he came in, he saw like where we filming at here, and he was like, "I like you guys even more because it's about taking imperfect action." And at that time, we were still using we started off using iPhones to record. And like,
nah, straight up,
so,
it was his phone, my phone, and then we just have another person come in. Like we could call you, like, "Yo, bro, you come to my house real quick. Like, yo, we need another phone."
Yeah,
we record, airdrop it, and put it out.
What you doing for the audio?
We had mics. We had like the mics got drastically better too. The first mics we had was shotgun mics. If anybody's familiar, those are like not the best mics. So we had shotgun mics at first, and then we brought other mics. Then so now we at this point. But like we was on the road buying mics. Like in LA, we interviewed Al Harrington in LA, and we had to like buy mics out there, and the sound got all messed up and distorted.
It was ill. We went to Guitar Center. We like literally Google mapped like Guitar Center Hollywood. How fast can we get there? Because we had to go interview him. We went, bought mics. We bought the wrong chords. So when we put the mics to the chords, like he sounded amazing. We sounded terrible. We were like, "Yo," we had no idea, like literally no idea. And we were like, "Yo, why does it sound so bad?" And then we didn't, obviously that is the reason we found out about XLR chords. And it was like, oh, now. So like people were rocking with the content, even though it was like sounding bad. They was like, "Yo, it's just good content.
Y'all like
let's rock with them."
To where you're at right now. Like stumbled up.
Yeah, just kept going. Like I said, we didn't really think about like, all right, we're not doing this the best way because we didn't have a reference point to even say we're not doing it the best way. It's just like, all right, we're just learning as we go and just keep expanding. So now we got lights. We didn't have any lights. We didn't have anything. We just started with some shotgun mics and iPhones. And
it's crazy.
Somebody Googling right now, how to start a podcast, and they're like comparing the 10 different mics and the perfect cameras and the perfect lighting. And y'all like, "Yo, you got an iPhone? Okay, great, let's rock."
Now that analysis paralysis stops people from doing a lot of different things in life, and it's like you studying, you trying to have it perfect, but it's never gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Just start it and then just figure it out as you go.
Yeah, I told you that before. It was like we had episodes where the mics weren't even working. Like I've sat here without the mic working. I'm just like, yo, I'm just gonna talk louder so it picks up on the other team. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, like we sometimes like we'll have episodes where like a camera angle's not even there. Like yo, my phone had too much pictures. I couldn't store anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy, but like nobody ever sees that because we're just like, all right, we're just gonna put the product out.
And one of our guests said one time as well, is like, for people that's just starting out, it's like, take your time improving your quality because you can't go down. Like if you start off with like, you know, the best video and it's like, it looks like Spike Lee produced it, you can't go down to an iPhone, but you can always go up. So it's like your quality, people will give you leeway with your quality as long as the content is good. And I think that's people who don't understand. Like they focus too much on, I say this all the time, like to me, content is much more important than quality.
For sure.
You know, it's even our Instagram clips now. Like I use an app called Vont. It's like $2. People ask me all the time, like, how do you put captions on? It's like, it costs $2 in the app store. It's not the best look. Like people got way more fancier videos, but our videos get way more views because it's good content. Yeah. Wow. So it's like, take your time with, that'll come as you have more money, but focus on the content and just, you know, keep building it out. You don't have to have the most perfect product right away.
And be consistent.
Fast forward, how many subscribers do you have? Like, give me some of the numbers behind the success of your podcast.
Yeah,
so I would start with the game changer was for us. Like, and again, we didn't know. Like, I think we had put our episode out early, like in April of last year, and it went on to like number 8 in the iTunes charts for podcasts. And like at that point, I don't even think we even know there was a chart. So people were hitting us like, yo, you're in the chart, you're in the chart. I'm like, what chart is that? And we were like, oh, there's a chart for podcasts? And you're like in the top 10? So.
Whoa.
And that was crazy.
Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, go, keep going.
Yeah, so like that's when it was like, all right, now we need to lock in on numbers. So like fast forward, right now we on, and we weren't even on YouTube at that point, but right now we have like 63,000 YouTube subscribers. We have about 30,000 listens per episode on audio.
2 million downloads per audio.
Yeah, 2 million overall.
Total audio downloads.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
All right, so how did we get there? Because you start iPhone, like how did we get there? Was there a genius behind your marketing play? And maybe you did something and you didn't realize how genius it was until later.
Now, the marketing play was just a carryover from my Instagram page, which my Instagram page at the time, so we had an advantage because like we didn't just start from anywhere. Like I had around 30, 40,000 followers on Instagram, my own personal Instagram page when we started Earn Your Leisure. So that obviously helped it because it's like, okay, now we starting a podcast. So I could direct followers from my personal page to Earn Your Leisure's page. So that helped. And then from Earn Your Leisure, it was the same blueprint that for social media. Social media has really like been our driving factor and word of mouth. We haven't spent any money on ads and we haven't really had any press. So
no, none
at all.
Well, one we had Black Enterprise wrote about us
once. So yeah, we just our thing is like original content and it's thinking outside the box. So we a lot of our clips just started going viral because we were telling different stories. Like it's a business podcast, but we telling backstories of sports entertainment and we like breaking down, doing case studies. This is before we even started interviewing people. And people really gravitated towards that because it's like for people to get financial information from us, it's like we're just regular people. We're not, you know, the most polished as far as how we talk. We didn't go to Harvard, but it's more appealing because they feel like they're in a barbershop, right? And it's like the things that we're talking about is like they find it interesting. It's not like, okay, invest your money with me. We're not selling anything. We're just like reporters reporting information in a way that they can understand and digest it. And financial literacy is huge right now, especially in our community. So I think it was just a matter of just good timing, good content. The stars just kind of aligned for us. And then our play, which was just really different from what anybody else on social media was doing. Because there's a lot of pages on social media, especially like Black pages that deal with finances and wealth. But our thing was a little different and it was more broad ranging. And I think it's just kind of one of those things. Sometimes you just, you know, hit lightning in a bottle. And social media is just really just explain. Like now we had 200,000 Instagram followers and that's in 1 year. So all of that's just been, you know, just like steamrolling, and then people see the clips on Instagram, then they go to YouTube, and then they tell their friends, and it's become like a real underground hit.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And Derek Ferguson, one of our former guests, was like, yo, you guys are in a white space. And this is a guy who's been around Puff for Ciroc and been around Puff for Sean John and the Bad Boy era. And he was like, yo, y'all just in a white space. Like, nobody's doing what you're doing. Like, sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle. Like, nobody's been able to talk about finance, add hip hop and sports into it.
Yeah, white space. It's not a racial thing. Yeah. White space means like when you hit like the white hot.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like when something is really at its hottest point, it's white. So it's like when you hit that white space, it's like you're in a space, you're in a vibe where nobody's else is in. Like you're in your own. Yeah. You're in your
and there
own
might
lane.
be people in our lanes, just that we didn't see it because, like I said, we didn't listen to anybody. So like that white space, it was like when he said that to us, we were just like, we might be on something, because this guy's been around super successful ideas and super successful people. It was like, he was like, whatever I need to do to help y'all, I'm willing, because this is it. Y'all have something here.
Right.
And so that was like super encouraging. It was like, all right, let's just keep going. And then just being consistent. Like every single day is like we had a routine. Like, I know I'm going to wake up, I'm going to read, I'm going to find something, I'm going to send it to Shadi. He going to put his magic on it. He going to put it out to the world. And then every day we do that. So it's like, when people, I had this conversation with somebody in LA. I was like, yo, we become the news for our culture. Because like people are they're not going to the traditional outlets. They're not watching ABC News, or they're not watching Good Morning America. They're going to Instagram, and if they want to find something out, they're hitting us up. So we take that like super responsibly, because it's like, all right, well, we want to report things that I know that our culture is looking for. Yeah. So somebody told us we the Rosetta Stone of financial literacy. So like I'm running with that.
You know what I think the gift was, that you guys weren't studying and watching podcasts to be able to find something different. Because I think sometimes you watch people for so long. Like there's some people that like are huge Gary Vee fans, right? They watch Gary Vee all the time, and when they start to speak, it sounds just like Gary Vee. Not that they're trying to emulate him, but
you're gonna be naturally influenced.
Oh, for sure,
that
for
works.
Sure. Like you could tell some people that have been watching ET for years, because when they present, it's the same thing, right? And it's maybe they're trying to do it differently, but they've been so indoctrinated in this one message that it comes out unoriginal.
Yeah, and it's so crazy, because it's like me, I feel like I could see people like even taking influence for us, and it's dope. But it's like, so like when I first started like writing, I was doing like, here's how. That was like a thing. It was like, here's how. That was like I would write it. And then I just seen a bunch of people start putting, here's how, like, here's how, like, I mean, I'm
You're
like,
an influencer. That's the definition of influence.
Nah, it's crazy. Then I saw CNN put here's how on one of the things. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So then I started like with people to come on the podcast, spice it up. So it was like a whole lead up. So like the day before the podcast, I would write articles on the people, and it's like, entrepreneur goes from living with his mother to making $100,000. And now everybody writes those kind of articles. It's like you see like couple travels the world, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like, all right, whatever. Huh?
Did you start that?
For the podcast.
For the podcast, well, definitely. So, and people just grab it. Like,
and then we started doing Instagram lives. And then now people do Instagram lives to promote. I didn't see anybody doing that, to even like assets over liabilities. Like when I drew up the idea for assets over liabilities, I was telling Mike, our partner, and I'm like, I want
Did you make that design too?
Yeah.
No, the name.
No, the design.
Not the design.
Yeah.
Over.
Because he was like,
tell me you didn't do that on your phone, bro.
Nah, I just did that in my head. But I told he didn't want to do that. Mike, he was like, no, it should be different. It should be assets over. I'm like, no, it should be a line with over. So when I saw somebody else do that, I'm like, that's an original idea that actually came out of my brain that somebody else actually copied. And it's like, it's crazy, but it's flattering at the same time. But one thing I remember, like the Here's How, one of our guests and a good friend of mine, ours, Valencia Clay, and she's real big on Instagram. And she was telling me, I'm like, yo, they took Here's How, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that was actually her idea, and she brought it to me, and I kind of like reworked it. I'm like, and she's like, yo, just think of something else. Like, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
They can't copy your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like, I see that a lot in social media, and I think that's one of the mistakes. That's my whole point, is like, you have to be original. And I think that's one of the reasons that Earn Your Leisure is successful, because we're original. We're not copying anybody. And I feel like a lot of people are not original. And it's like you can only go so far by taking somebody else's blueprint. Like if we try to do a show with champagne and drinks, it's like Nori already has drink
They're
champs.
gonna know that.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
you can't fake authenticity.
Yeah, it's like it's already been done. So what we're doing has never been done, and that's worked for us. Like what works for you might be eating Doritos and talking in the high chair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to find your own lane. And I think originality is extremely underrated in this day and age.
Yeah, it's encouraging too, because it's like even when we see that, it's like, well, people are waking up and they're trying. You know what I mean? Like when we see podcasts, especially even in our neighborhood, like we see people creating podcasts. We see people creating their own clothing line. It's like that wasn't happening before this, which is dope because it's like, all right, well, they have the vision now. Their parameters of where they can be in life have risen, like, and it's dope. So we're just uplifting everybody, and we're learning from people and uplifting ourselves at the same time. So, you know, it's encouraging. It's still encouraging.
Yeah. So the $1 million question is, how do you make money from a podcast? That's what I want to know. Like me personally. So like, I know y'all listening, but this is a question for me. So how do you make money from a podcast?
You want to start with the ad?
It's a bunch of different ways. So we have ads on audio. So like audio outlets, you have like Spotify and Apple. Those are like the two biggest ones, but there's a bunch of them: Podbean, Sketcher, Anchor, all of them. So you can put ads in your audio segments.
You have to do it yourself?
So we use Anchor, which is our host for the podcast. Like they distribute our podcast to like all of the different outlets.
So it's like YouTube where the commercial just comes in, or you have to actually put it in your podcast.
You manually put it in, but they give it to you. Anchor. So that's one of the things with Anchor is like they give you ads. They take like 30%, I think. They take 30%, and then the podcast host gets 70%. Yeah. You can get ads on yourself outside of that. Yeah, like let's say you want to sponsor the podcast, right? We broke it down. We get 100% of that. But anything that they bring to the table, then they get 30 and we get 70.
And we with that, and that's the crazy part is like the show had segments, but it originally didn't have segments. The only reason we put segments.
No, it originally had segments, but
because
we did that for that. Yeah.
For the ads, because it was like Spotify was like, we have 2 ads, and like they send it to you. We got to read them and put them in. But it was like, how do we put them in? All right, well, we'll make segments for the episodes, and that's where the ads will go. So now when we have 3 segments, it's like, it's super intentional because it's like those are ad placements. You know what I'm saying? So like even with the ads, there's something called a CPM. So the CPM is just how much money they're going to give you per 1,000 listens. So like for the average audio is probably like $20. So every
$20 per 1,000
plays,
gotcha.
Right? So you get 20,000 plays, you make $200, right? So like knowing that, I was like, all right, that's cool. Let's get a bunch of ads, right? So if that was 1, let's try to get 3 ads on the episode because now it's not $20 anymore. Now it's 60, right? You see what I'm saying?
Bro, I was wondering why y'all did the segments. Because I do podcasts, and I'm like, why don't they just segue into another question?
The segments, and the crazy thing is like the segment actually, because it's like, I like to think of it like 60 minutes. The show 60 minutes, where it's like if you ever watch 60 Minutes, it's 3 different segments and it's 3 different topics. So that kind of came by accident because like you said, we had to put the ads in. So we like, all right, we got to put 2, we got to make room for 2 ads, 3 ads, but 1 can go at the beginning. The other 2 have to go in the middle. So it's like, all right, let's just break the show into 3 segments. Yeah. And then we realized, all right, since it's 3 segments, we might as well be talking about 3 different things. Like before we had a guest, it was 3 completely different things. Yeah. So that's another thing that is kind of like our trademark, but that was really an accident. It only happened because we had to make room for ads.
The first episode we shot, it was like 45 minutes, and we had to listen to it and like, all right, let's stop it there. But it was like unnatural. It was like, oh, wait, where'd the episode just go? Yeah, and then it became like, all right, so the next segment. And so now when you hear it's like next segment, it's that ad break.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to go to the next segment of this.
Yeah.
That's genius.
That's just the audio. Brilliant. And then from that audio, just the audio, when we put that out on YouTube, YouTube's another source of income because like now those same ads, there's ads on the visuals, and the beauty of YouTube is that the CPMs are much higher. So like the average, like I said,
what is CPM?
That's cost the what they're gonna pay per 1,000.
I'm not sure what it stands for.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual acronym, but what it breaks down to is how much they're gonna pay you per 1,000 views or listens. So YouTube, the average changes, right? Like your video could get $70 per 1,000.
We got $100 CPM.
Yeah, we had $112 CPM once for an episode. So imagine if that episode now does 100,000 views and you're getting $70 per 1,000. You see what I'm saying? Like that could add up.
And the good thing with YouTube is that you have way more chance of going viral. Like we know we're gonna get 30,000, 25,000 listens per episode on audio right now, and we're growing. But YouTube, you might have one episode that gets like 5,000 views, but another episode might get 180,000 because it hits the algorithm and it just goes to
out of here.
My bad.
And who pays more? The podcast platform or YouTube?
Well, we put up more episodes out. We get more ads on, so that's consistent. Like eventually, YouTube will, as we put more content out, and we break out. And we've been doing that this year, 2020. It's like we just put smaller content because we saw the duration time for people that viewed it on YouTube was like 22 minutes. But if our episodes are 60 minutes and you're only watching 22, that means you've missed some of it. So now, like when we put out the smaller segments, it's like, all right, well, that was a third segment that you might have missed. And people just gravitate toward that. Like we put out a clip with Al Harrington that we did in April, and people were like, yo, that's amazing. Yo, he needs his own episode. And we're like, yeah, he does have his own episode. But that just shows like sometimes people gravitate toward things at a different time.
I think YouTube has more scalability than audio. But those are two ways. Then merch, we sell merch.
Yeah.
Okay. What is Stitcher? Is the
Anchor.
So Anchor is where you get one vertical of Anchor because they'll insert the ad. Well, you insert the ads and and how did they contact you? Like, yo, we got another one. Here's the ad.
They just put it on the app. So like on the app, like you get notified, like we got a new ad for you.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then you got to read the script, and then you say if you want the ad or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You read the script, and then you place it in.
You ever turn any down?
I don't think so. It'd be crazy. Like he'll text me like, "Yo, we got an ad." It'll be like 4:00 on a Tuesday, and our episodes come out at 5. He's like, "Yo, we got to get that ad out." I'm like, "Yo, I'm driving from school." He's like, let's get the ad out." I'm like, I literally will come in like shoot it real quick, and then like it'll be on the episode the next time. So it's like we don't want to waste any time because we know like, yo, the first day of an episode being dropped, we know that's gonna be the highest rush. So like if we know there's gonna be about 10 to 15,000 people listening to that first day, I want to have that ad on it. So if they put it out at 4:45, I need that ad on there before 5.
How much do you think you made, or how much would you charge somebody to run an ad on an episode?
Right now, I think it's between $600 and $700 an episode if you want to do a one-off.
Yeah.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, but most of the campaigns, most times we get campaign like we get somebody to do like 10 episodes or 12 episodes. People don't really do one-offs too much. Most of the time, it's like 10. Like Spotify and Anchor, we've been locked in for like a year, where those ads run consistently. Then we have other ads that are running for like a couple weeks, 6 weeks, or they'll do like 10 episodes, 12 episodes, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a real thing. So like we used to say like, yo, it's an EYL effect, and we were just talking about social media. Like we spoke about some of the people who come on and their social media growth will grow after an episode, and we were like, yo, it's an EYL effect, and it was like, no, this is a real thing, because like now when we do an ad for a business, they come back like, listen, we want to stay on. Like, yo, I've got so many clients just from being on the episode. If somebody heard you promote us, it was like, all right, this is a real thing.